Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Ryu-Ge deck profile. This week it is Ryu-Ge, Mitsurugi, Melodious, Voiceless. A real mouthful. But we took it to a case tourney and we got really close to topping. We went 3-3 in a 6-round tourney. And if we had won our last round, we would have gone 4-2 and I believe made top 8, which it was a cut to top 8, so we would have been able to play out top 8. Maybe get there, who knows? Which is unfortunate. But I will say, all things considered, I don't feel too bad considering I won 1 out of my 6 die rolls, and I played against my worst matchup 3 out of my 6 rounds. I thought Maliss was going to be the best deck in the room. It very much was not. It was Mitsurugi Ryzeal by a lot, and I have learned that is this deck's worst matchup, for sure. Because Detonator is a problem. So I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to have to find a solution to that anyway. But anyhow, let's get into the deck profile. We've got 3 of our Mistfa, 3 of our Ryu-Ge Rising, and 3 of our Melody of Awakening Dragon. These cards are our 9 Ryu-Ge starters. If you watched last week's video, we were on 3 Warzone as another starter. I am not playing the Carboneddin and normal monsters stuff because it's just really bricky, and I didn't really miss it. This felt fine. These cards are all good. Ryu-Ge Rising is really interesting, and then it lets us play around Droll in some very weird ways. Mistfa, obviously, the GOAT, the king. And then Melody was good, although less good than I thought it would be. Turns out, if you use this card, it probably is going to eat a hand trap anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it is immune, that it gets you to Anva and Mistfa, because the Anva protection doesn't end up really mattering all that much. That being said, it is still a really good card. And having a card that basically says Ash me in a deck that also has another card that if they don't Ash it, they lose the game, is really good. So these were all good. These were all really good. Wouldn't change these. After that, we've got the 1 Warzone. Warzone is kind of the heart and soul of the deck, which is why you might be wondering why we're on 1 of it. It's because it's not a starter, but it is like the most important combo piece in the deck. Felt good at 1 all day. You're never really resolving 2. Actually, you can't unless you somehow find a way to shuffle Kaiba back, which you could do with the trap card, which we are not maining. So I don't see a reason to run more than 1. After that, we've got 2 Anva. So this is the ratio for Anva I settled with. If you guys remember, last week I was only able to play 1 because it was pre-release. This week I was able to play more, and you might be wondering why I'm not playing 3 of this guy. And it's because if you don't open specifically a Ryu-Ge starter, this guy is kind of mid. And Melody already gets you to Anva, so there's really only 6 cards that you can open with this that feel really good. And Anva is a really good card, but it's not stellar to draw, is kind of what I came to the conclusion of. But you really want 2 for the grind game. You very much run through these guys really fast. I also learned that it is just correct not to summon this guy off of your Warzone if you don't have to, in order to conserve as many of these in deck as possible. A lot of things I learned with this card, and I do think 2 is probably the correct ratio. I don't really want to draw him in most hands, so I really liked 2. After that is our other main deck names. We're on 1 Kaiba, 2 Emva, and 2 Hakva. These are pretty standard. Kaiba is fine at 1 because if you draw him, you can shuffle him back. Although there was a point where I drew him and Dino Domains in my opener, and I lost the game because of it, but that's Ryu-Ge, baby. Sometimes it just happens. Anyway, you got to play 2 of the other names because you need a second Worm and a second Sea Serpent in case you draw them. That's just how the deck works. But they were fine. They're good. Emva specifically is really good in this list because you do end up getting a lot of guys out of your hand or deck, so you can just use it for link plays, or just get it with one of your Ryu-Ge Realms, which we've got the 3 Ryu-Ge Realms right here. These were all good. Again, I think you have to play all these. I know some people cut the Sea Spires. I don't think you can do that. I think you really do need all of these cards in the list, unfortunately. And then for our last Ryu-Ge card in the list, we've got 1 Ryu-Ge Rivalry. This was really good as the 1-of trap card. Card came up all day. Very, very good. Very important for if you only open Ryu-Ge starters. Just important to your end board in general. Making the end board layered is crazy. After that, we've got our Mitsurugi engine, which will start with the ritual monsters. So we've got 3 Ame no Habakiri and 1 Ame no Marakumo. So these guys are... So Habakiri is the best Mitsurugi starter by a lot. If you open like this guy plus any normal summon, you can end on like a board wipe with Ame, even through a droll, which is really nice. But the basic combo ends in like an IP and an Ame with prayers set. So you have a board wipe, a hand rip, and the IP and an SP. So that's like 4 interruptions. It's not crazy or anything, but it is like solid for a 1-card combo in this deck. We have like a bunch of other really strong 1-card combos, but this is for sure the weakest. But it is serviceable for what this engine does. It's also just really good for board breaking because you can summon Ame onto the board during going second to just wipe your opponent's whole board. He's also just a big guy. He's 3,200. So these cards are really good. I liked them a lot. Habakiri is really good. My biggest issue was actually the other cards you have to play along with Ame. There's just a lot of cards in this engine that you don't want to draw, and I'm about to get into 2 of the main ones, which is our main deck names that aren't rituals. The one Saji and the one Aramasa. These guys felt really bad to draw because there's already 6 good normal summons in this deck. These 2 are not good. Saji's not a 1-card combo, so it really sucks to draw. Aramasa is a 1-card combo, so it's not as bad, but it still doesn't feel good to draw this card. I do think you have to play these 2 because, 1, if you draw one of them, Habakiri no longer is live if you're only on 1 copy, so you do need to play 2. But also, it just opens up some other lines and stuff if you play the one Aramasa and the one Saji. That being said, though, again, these felt really bad to draw, and it's almost a reason for me to not play this engine anymore. Along with the other card that's really bad to draw, which is the 2 Mitsurugi Ritual. Unless you draw one of your ritual monsters with this, then it's really good, but if you don't, it sucks. This card is just a brick. That being said, it's better than the brick we would have had to play for the Voiceless engine, which is Prayers, because Saphira can send any ritual monster or any ritual spell, so you can send Mitsurugi Ritual for Saphira, which is awesome. That's the main reason we're on 2, otherwise we just play 1. So if you don't play the Voiceless stuff, you could just cut this card to 1. But I think you have to if you want to play like one of the best normal summons in this deck. So I really like it. These cards were fine. And then we are on the 2 Mitsurugi Prayers. This is a 1-card combo, but it's not a good 1-card combo, so I didn't see a reason to run 3. Along with the fact that you just don't need 3 most of the time. It does come up a little bit in grind games, but this card is like, it is really good. This card is really good, but it is definitely not a card you really want to be drawing, which sucks because that means there's like, what is it? 7 cards in this engine you don't want to draw? 8? No, 7. Yeah, 7 cards in this engine you don't want to really draw, which sucks. Like in a deck full of cards you don't want to draw, having 7 more cards that you also don't want to draw did feel really bad, and it was probably the worst thing about the deck all day, besides some non-engine choices I made. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to really mess with this engine more to see if I think it is worth it. That being said, you won't really understand what the synergy is until I show off the main normal summon of the deck that's not Refrain. But for that to make sense, I need to show off our Voiceless package, which is 1 Skull Guardian, 1 Low, 2 Saphira, and 2 Barrier. So this is not the bare minimum package. The bare minimum package would have been 1 Saphira and 1 Barrier, and then one of the other 2. Actually, you could arguably cut Skull Guardian, but I think these are really good starters in general. I think Saphira / Barrier being able to 1.5 card combo with any big guy in our hand is really good because it can get us to Skull Guardian and then get us to Low. Which is really nice, especially if you already have Mistva, because it lets us put up an Omni Negate before we do anything else, and it's good at pushing into boards. I do still really like this engine, and I think this is the best it's ever felt, because it didn't feel like I had to run a terrible ritual spell with it. Who would have thought? Skull Guardian is a brick, but it's fine. It's not that big a deal. You could cut this card. It's definitely not necessary, but I do think it helps with like board breaking and just making this engine feel way stronger. You could cut this engine down to 1-1 if you really wanted to, but I wanted more engine for the day because I couldn't figure out what non-engine felt good this format. And these were like the best engine I think I could have put into the deck for extra cards. That being said, it's all in these two engines have synergy in a way I don't think anybody would have thought of, which is the 3 Diviner of the Herald. So this is the combo I'm going to show off at the end of the video, is the 1-card Diviner combo, which ends on 9 interruptions. And you might be wondering how that is and why we're running it without Trios. It's because you don't need Trios anymore because Habakiri is new Trios. You can go send Herald of the Arclight to search a ritual monster. You search Habakiri, and then Habakiri can summon your Mitsurugi monster from deck and then tribute the Diviner. And then the Diviner can summon low from deck when tributed. So with just the Diviner, you single-handedly access the Mitsurugi engine and the Voiceless engine, which the Voiceless engine can then access the Ryu-Ge engine. So you get to 3 of your engines with 1 normal summon, which is crazy. That's like Melodious levels of strong. Really, really good stuff. Diviner was crazy all day. After that is our Melodious package. We're on 3 Ostinato, 3 Refrain, and then 1 Couplet and 1 Concerto. So this is standard. This is the standard Melodious package. These were honestly probably the best cards all day. Going into boards, these cards were like Ostinato's unbelievable. It just pushes through so much if they can't negate it. There was a game, I had a match against Maliss where I went second. I went Ostinato, they negated it with Allied Code, and I go, okay, thrust for another Ostinato, and then with a thrust, and then with that Ostinato and a Diviner in hand, I was able to completely break their board and then OTK them with Ryu-Ge. It was unreal. I was really, really impressed, and it's why I'm not that scared of Maliss anymore, because you can kind of overwhelm them. They don't have that much interaction in engine. A lot of their interaction actually comes from outside of it. But we played through like the Allied Code, Whitebinder summon, the what was it? The MTPO7 banish, and we played through the 2 imperms. It was unreal, but really good. This engine was absolutely crazy all day. Really, really strong stuff. I think I have to play this engine in Ryu-Ge from now on. It is just so powerful. And Ostinato's even good into like Detonator, which is crazy. Like Ostinato was how we were breaking boards so much that during the tourney. After that is our power spells. We're on 3 Thrust, 3 Dark Ruler, and then 3 Forbidden Droplet. So these were solid all day. It was really weird. I was struggling so much to figure out what non-engine would be good for this format, and this is what I settled on, along with another card that you'll see. Actually, you can see it over here. But Thrust is really good as both a way to get to our best engine piece, which is Ostinato, but also as another way to get to Dark Ruler, which is an out to Detonator, and it is a decent out to a lot of the Maliss board. If they end on like Firewall plus the Allied Code, you can go Dark Ruler, negate both of those, and then all you have to beat is like MTPO7 and like GWC, potentially. That's all it really is. It's not too hard to deal with from there. So I like Dark Ruler a lot. Dark Ruler felt alright all day, although it felt really bad into Mitsurugi Ryzeal. Besides beating Detonator, that's kind of all it did, except some players were going Gallant Granite, Search Nibiru, and then it didn't matter because they would just tribute their own Detonator and then bring it back with Eclipse Twins. It was sickening. And in general, I don't know if I can play like board breakers to beat Mitsurugi Ryzeal. I think that deck's board is just way too strong. Droplet, same issue. I can negate the Detonator, but they'll bring it back somehow, or they'll just beat me with all the other nonsense on their board. I still have to beat like 6 interruptions and hand traps. It's unbelievable. Thrust was probably the best non-engine all day, though. It being able to access Dark Ruler or Ostinato or Melody to get me to Ryu-Ge combo is so good. It's absolutely filthy. So these were fine, and I think if Mitsurugi Ryzeal wasn't in the format, I think this would be fine non-engine, but into that deck, it just felt so bad. After that, we've got 3 Fualos as the last card to round out the list. This card was, in theory, really good if it ever resolved. I don't think I resolved this card one time all day. It either got ashed or called by'd every single time. It was ridiculous. But that's not really a fault of the card. That's just my opponents wanted it more. They had it out. So it is what it is. But this card is good, and I think you do have to play it this format, guaranteed. I think it's good into every deck right now, from Mitsurugi Ryzeal to Maliss. Now on to the extra. We've got the 1 Varudris for our Ryu-Ge setups. Card good. Card crazy. Was really good all day. After that is our bridges to our Mitsurugi engine. We're on 1 Herald of the Arclight and 1 King of the Fair Limps. This is for Diviner to bridge into the Mitsurugi stuff. This is for Melodious to bridge into the Mitsurugi stuff. Which, yes, by the way, our Melodious combo from last video ended on 8 interruptions. Now it ends on 11 because of the Mitsurugi stuff, which is so nasty. It's the same board, but now you get to end on the full Mitsurugi line, which is hilarious. After that, we've got our Melodious combo cards. We've got 3 Basha, 1 Beyond the Pendulum, the 2 Odd Eyes guys, and then the Abawaku and the Moon. So the combo we've been doing hasn't really changed all that much. I still really liked this package for our Melodious combo. These felt really good. I don't think I'd change anything about them other than to maybe make space since the Abawaku stuff isn't necessary. But I really liked it. It felt really good. Wouldn't really change it. Enjoyed it a lot. If we ever did the combo, we did just win the game, I will say. 1 IP... Now for our utility links. 1 IP Masquerena, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Haggard Lizardos, 1 Dynamondo, and 1 Typhon. I said links, I just meant utility cards. IP and SP is important for our Mitsurugi 1-card combos and our Melodious combo. Since instead of seals, we're ending on IP along with the Abawaku. Which is arguably better, because SP is like 2 interruptions on its own if you summon it on your opponent's turn. Haggard was still really good, did come up a decent amount during the day. And Dynamondo was really good in this list because it can bring back Ame in this list, which is absolutely broken. And you have rituals at the ready now to shuffle back with the Habakiri, which you're putting into grave to summon Ame. Really, really good card in this list. And then the 1 Typhon, I don't think it came up all day, but it is a good card. I don't know. I don't think there was anything I would have cut for it. Maybe like Alina would have been nice. It's definitely not needed, but it is a nice card to have. Anyway, that rounds out our extra deck. And now onto the side deck, which I really didn't like my side deck all day. The first big mistake was not maining this card, 3 Droll and Lockbird. Oh my god, if I had been maining this card, I would have won at least one of the Mitsurugi losses I had that day. Which, by the way, my losses that day were to 2 Mitsurugi Ryzeal and 1 Mitsurugi Pure. So all my losses were to Mitsurugi. If I had been maining this card, that probably wouldn't have happened. This card is so good. Even though we're on 60, the card I would have probably cut for it is Forbidden Droplet. And let me tell you, there were hands I drew Forbidden Droplet against that deck, where if it had been Droll, I probably won, because the rest of my hand could have bulldozed through whatever board they put up. Even if it was Detonator, I think my hand still got there. Card is really, really good. I think you have to main this format, knowing how good Mitsurugi Ryzeal honestly is. After that is our 2 Molcharmi Meowls and our 3 Lancia. I'm going to get a 3rd Molcharmi Meowl soon, which we will be playing. His card is really good into Maliss. I'd like to have the 3 Meowls and the 3 Lancia for Maliss. But for right now, this was fine. I never actually saw them against Maliss, but it didn't matter. Since I beat them game 1 just engineering through their board, and then game 3 I put up a board they were just never beating. So, yeah, these are good. Wouldn't change it. Now for the cards I probably would change. We have 6 Board Breakers in here and 3 Pankratops and 3 Lava Golem. Pank was fine. It's definitely the better of these two. But it kind of doesn't do enough into Mitsurugi Ryzeal since Detonator can't be destroyed and it's not big enough to run over Ame. It can beat like a cross or it can force prayers, but that's kind of all it does. Which at that point I could play a Cosmic Cyclone and do much. It'd be better. So I don't know. This card was not amazing all day. It was mainly for Maliss, which again I thought I'd see a lot of. And in Maliss, I don't think it's bad. If they end on Firewall, you can just run it over and then try to pop the Allied Code Talker, which it'll then force the negate. Which in that regard, I think it is very good. But I think it's just not good enough. Maybe once we get like Justice Hunters, this card I think will be crazy. But I think for right now, this card isn't the sauce I thought it would be. Unfortunately, it just wasn't. And Lava Golem was terrible all day. Imagine the card that tributes your opponent's monsters and Mitsurugi, the deck that loves to tribute its own monsters. Crazy, I know. Yeah, this card was awful. If it was all Maliss, maybe it would have been good, but into Mitsurugi Ryzeal, it was just terrible. It was just awful. Hated it. So yeah, would not play this card again. I probably won't play either of these two again. I'm going to have to find other cards to play. Probably whatever techs I find to try and beat that deck. And then the one Ryu-Ge End, we still just sided it, and I still think it was good in the side. Any game where it did come up, it was really, really good. But again, I never want to draw this card going second, so I was fine siding it, and it was good there. I liked it. Good card. Now, to round out the deck profile, I will show off the one-card Diviner combo. I'm really proud of this one because I haven't really seen anybody talk about this, because you don't even have to play Ryu-Ge with this. You could just do, like, Mitsurugi Voiceless, and you could do this same line. Or any deck that wants to summon a level 1 fairy, you could do this exact same line, which is crazy. Anyway, you're going to go normal Diviner. Diviner send Herald of the Arclight. Herald's going to search the Habakiri. Habakiri is going to reveal itself to summon your Saji from deck. And then you will tribute the Diviner for the Habakiri effect. Diviner is going to trigger, allowing you to summon, or it's going to go chain 1 Diviner, chain 2 Saji. So you're going to be able to use Diviner to send, or you're going to use the Saji to search Mitsurugi Ritual, and then you're going to use Diviner to summon Low. Low is going to then trigger on a new chain, allowing you to place Barrier from deck. Barrier is then going to let you search your copy of Saphira, and we are going to lead doing the Voiceless combos because we get to put up an Omni Negate before we could ever get nibbed. We're then going to go Saphira to send our second Mitsurugi Ritual and then search our Skull Guardian. We're then going to go Banish Saphira to Ritual Summon the Skull Guardian using the Low. And then we're going to go chain 1 Low, chain 2 Skull Guardian. So we're going to search out of our deck our Mistva with the Skull Guardian. And then we're going to summon the Low from grave. So from here, now we can go Mitsurugi Ritual to Ritual Summon the Ame from our deck using the Habakiri. Then we're going to be able to trigger the Habakiri in order to search a copy of Mitsurugi Prayers. Then, in order to clear up space and also just for more interactions, because there's kind of no reason not to, we're going to make IP Masquerena. This already, once we set the prayers, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interruptions, and then we get to do the full Mistva line, which is just Mistva into Warzone. Warzone, grab where are they? There we go. Kaiva, Emva, Hakva. We're going to add the Hakva, banish the Emva, send the Kaiva. And then we're going to go banish Hakva to search the Wyrmwinds. We're going to activate the Wyrmwinds, and then we're going to use Warzone to summon our 3 guys. Summon the Hakva from Banish, the Kaiva from Grave, and then the Emva from deck. Oh, where is it? There it is. From here, we're going to go Hakva, bottom deck, Wyrmwinds to search our Ryu-Ge rivalry. And then we're going to Ixies our 2 of our names in order to make our Varudras. And then we're going to set 2 and pass the turn here. This is up. So this starting here, we're on IP, which is 2 interruptions, because it's a SP, which is 2 interruptions. The 1 interruption off the Skull Guardians, that's 3. The interruption off the Varudras, so that's 4, arguably 5, since Mystica can then pop the Varudras later and then have it pop another card. But I'm going to count it as just 1 to be humble. Then the Mitsurugi Prayers, which can summon the Ame from Grave, which will nuke their board. And this can hand rip them 1, so it's 2 more interruptions. That puts us to, what was it? 5, 6? Puts us to 6 interruptions. And then we can go Rivalry to summon a Ryu-Ge name from deck, which will summon our Anva, and then Anva can pop one of their cards, which will trigger Mistva, allowing us to summon Mistva, tributing Emva to pop 2 of our cards, place 2 Ryu-Ge realms from deck, and if one of those cards is Anva, Anva floats into the 3rd Ryu-Ge realm. So that is 4 more interruptions right there, putting this to... Oh, maybe I miscounted when I was doing the list, because there's actually 10 interruptions. Huh. Okay, I thought it was 9. This is actually 10, which is crazy. So, yeah, this board is absolutely disgusting. And it's off of a single Diviner, which is awesome. So it means there's 6 normals in the deck that read, put up a 10 interruption board, which is unbelievable. So yeah, really like this combo. Unfortunately, it does require me to run Mitsurugi and Voiceless, which is kind of a lot. If you notice, there was only like 12 non-engine slots in this deck, which I really didn't like. I really want to make room for Droll, so I don't know. I definitely need to work on this list. It's got issues, but I don't think it's a bad framework, and I think there is a lot of potential here. But anyway, see you guys next week with another deck profile for Ryu-Ge. I'll get to working. There's actually a regional next weekend, so I will come to you guys with my regional deck profile after that's all said and done. Hopefully we get a win there, or at least a top. I don't know. We'll see. I really need to figure out a list, though, that I think can beat Mitsurugi Ryzeal consistently. That's going to be my main challenge while deck building. But I think I can do it. If you guys have any suggestions of things that might work out, please feel free to say them in the comments. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.